All right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is And Yet It Moves. And Yet It Moves is a puzzle platformer set in a unique world made of ripped paper. Within the paper collage, you can jump, run, and last but certainly not least, rotate the world. Learn how to apply the physical consequences of rotation to to master the many tricky situations you may encounter. I mean, that pretty much sums it up in a nutshell, doesn't it? So this game was assigned to the Galax for review. So over to him for the details.
Um, so this game is theoretically compatible with controllers. I hate platformers with keyboard and mouse for what it's worth. It comes with recommended mapping for the keyboard and mouse, which is W for jump, A and D for left and right, and then left, right, and down arrow keys, I think, for rotating the world counterclockwise, clockwise, and 180 degrees, which I believe it's either always clockwise or it's in the direction you're facing, because it doesn't just flip it rotates. But I was able to program the controller to set it so that you use the D-pad for left and right.
Yeah, looking at playing with the arrows, and right now it's 90 degrees for left and right, and then 180 for up and down.
Yeah, face button for south, or face button south for jump, like a normal goddamn human being. And then I actually ended up setting clockwise and counterclockwise to face button east and north, and 180 to face button east, west and north, and then 180 to face button east, because that's the harder one to hit, and you usually want to be doing 90 degrees. But yeah, it's a physics-based, mostly puzzle platformer. The world, as it said, is made out of the aesthetic of ripped paper, and you have to avoid taking too much damage on a fall, navigating through spaces that are too steep, dealing with stuff that breaks out from under you, dealing with voids, and then in some places there are weird obstacles that will kill you, generally, such as a lizard or a monkey that usually have a bespoke thing in the environment that follows certain rules that you need to get to them to be able to not die, to be able to open up a path. So for the lizard, for example, there were bats that always tried to go up to hang from the ceiling that you had to get over to the lizard, and if you got enough of them, it would bother it. For the monkey, there's a banana that falls off a tree and follows gravity. Presumably I only got into like the second chapter. I did not get super far. There are checkpoints which also very helpfully point in a direction for you to go, because this may shock you, but considering that you can rotate the world 90 or 180 degrees on a whim, it's very fucking easy to get lost. If you're not paying attention to things. The second world is also really big on the platforms themselves being like branches, because the worlds are themed. The first one was caves, the second one is like forest. You die in one hit, but you go back to the checkpoint, which is not too bad, generally. Sometimes it's a little bit frustrating because stuff that you have triggered, like if you've made a rock fall or a branch break, it stays fallen or broken, or if the bats have moved, they stay moved. I think the hardest part of this game for me was actually what Pettyfan is dealing with right now, which is braining which direction is turn clockwise and which direction is turn counterclockwise.
Yep.
Fully, so that it is instinctive at a moment, because you do actually need to get that right. Because if you try to do a full circle in the air, you do maintain your momentum and your fall speed increases. So if you are trying to go all the way around because you fucked up, there's a chance that you'll be going so fast that when you hit the ground, you'll die. Sometimes you can save yourself when you would die from fall damage by landing on a steep downward slope, but not always.
Mm-hmm. And also, you're still moving, so you could overshoot your target.
Right. You have if you're moving at all, or even if you just turn it, it does, like, from turning, you get a little bit of momentum. The jumping is very Castlevania. It's not fully stiff. You do have a little bit of midair control, but you kind of have to commit to your jumps, which makes sense considering the mechanic. Like, the main way for you to manipulate your momentum in the air is to, turn the world. So yeah, this is the monkey banana puzzle. The banana, with the bats, they lose interest. The banana breaks, so. But the puzzles always seem to reset themselves if you would be completely stuck. See, that's a good example of the, oops, I let my momentum get a little bit too high, so when I fell, I died. Or rather, Petty died. So yeah, you gotta rotate, correctly, and that's hard. Yeah, the controls are a little bit slow and stiff, but this is a puzzle. You're supposed to be moving deliberately rather than flailing around, aside from the world rotation, because you're going to be doing that some, I think. I don't know. It doesn't feel great, but it feels like it's that way for a reason, you know?
So far, the thing I'm not really liking is it's hard to tell what's supposed to be background and what's foreground.
There are some spots, especially, it wasn't a problem in the first world, but yes, in this world, since everything kind of has the white ripped paper outline, it can be a little bit tricky to tell what stuff you are actually going to interact with and what stuff you're not, especially with the tree plumage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tree foliage, not plumage. There's also a mode that locks the camera, which...
that sounds infuriating.
I did not try, but it might be interesting. I guess it's for if you get motion sick when the whole world moves regularly.
Makes sense. Or it's just challenge mode.
Or it's, yeah, because that does sound like it might be harder. But yeah, that's most of what the gameplay is so far as I got to, so... yeah, the music is mostly atmospheric. Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
This reminded me of Doug, the program. Like, in that there's a lot of mouth to it. Like, a lot of mouth sounds going on in the soundtrack.
But yeah. So remember, the platform is also affected by gravity, so you can kind of bring it back close to you by, yep, like that. It's not just you that is affected by the gravities.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's rocks that fall on your head.
Sometimes it's you that falls on your head. Oh god.
That too, yes. It's actually, that's pretty frequent. So yeah, that's most of what there is to it. If you like platformers that are slower and deliberate, you might enjoy.
That's a new one.
Too.
That's a hell of a failure state right there. I understand physics-wise, you're still falling.
If you rotate the camera 90 degrees more to the left, you can get the other way.
Oh
you
God!
You can get the log on top of the branch it broke off from instead of under it.
Yeah. I'm free, free falling. You're welcome.
Anyway.
Okay. Now I don't know how you get back. Anyway, so yeah, it's creative. It requires to think about things in interesting ways. But if you have a hard time braining geometry, it'll be very challenging. And if you require extremely responsive controls, you may have some issues.
Yeah. This game received exactly one console port. Try to guess where.
A small white box that uses remotes for controllers.
Yes, it was a WiiWare game. Not anymore, because WiiWare is not a thing anymore.
Long live WiiWare.
Yep. Mm-hmm. This game lives on.
Well, I'm glad it's not dead, because this is certainly an interesting idea for a game.
Yeah. Like, I remember playing this. It's another game I played way back in the day, and it's always stuck with me, more for its aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aesthetic is very interesting, and like I said, the mechanics are...
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was actual ripped paper that they scanned into the game. That's exactly...
It certainly seems like it definitely could be.
That sounds like exactly the kind of thing, a scrappy indie dev of French origin would do.
Especially in the year 2009.
Oh yeah, watch the look on my face as you tell me that the developers of this game are French. It's where I would put my surprised face if I had one.
Indeed.
One day I'll get the money to get us all reaction icons. That day is not today.
So yeah, what are they charging for it, Adam?
$9.99.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair price for this game. It is an interesting game. If you like puzzle type platformers and don't mind the controls being a little jank because it's a puzzle type platformer, then
again from 2009.
And again, if you can remember what direction, once you get memorized which direction. See, I can get it down, but then when I turn around and walk the other direction, my brain gets screwed up again.
Yep.
But
there's a reason why my raid team is team directionally challenged, my friends.
Yeah, it works pretty well once you get that done. Just takes some doing. But yeah, that's overall I would generally give this a recommendation.
Especially as typically cheap on Steam sales.
Yeah, unless you really hate kind of clunky platformers.
Yeah, that's how you can tell this was made for the PC. It's it's clunky in a way that PC platformers are clunky.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on And Yet It Moves?
I think that's all.
All right, so that'll about do it for this game. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review The Fall of Aether Station.